You don't know you need salt until you don't have it. That's the trick. That's the trap. You've been salting your food your entire life without thinking about it once, the same way you've been breathing without scheduling it. And now the stores are gone, and the salt shaker is empty, and your body is starting to send you messages you don't want to receive. Here's what nobody in the prepper community talks about enough. You can live weeks without food. You can last days without water if you're careful and desperate. But sodium depletion kills faster than most people expect, and it kills ugly. Muscle cramps that feel like your leg is being wrung out like a wet towel. Confusion that starts subtle. You forget words, you make bad decisions, and escalates into something that looks a lot like psychosis. Your heart starts misfiring. Your blood pressure tanks. Your kidneys, those two tireless chemical engineers keeping your blood clean, start failing their calibration. And the cruel irony is that the more you sweat, which in a survival scenario is constantly, because you're working, hauling, building, running, the faster you deplete what little sodium you have left. Salt is not a seasoning. It is a mineral your body cannot manufacture, cannot substitute, and cannot function without. Every nerve signal in your body travels on a wave of sodium and potassium. Your muscles contract because of sodium. Your brain communicates because of sodium. The ancient Romans paid soldiers in salt. The word salary comes from the Latin salarium, the salt payment. Wars have been fought over it. Empires have taxed it. Gandhi's entire independence movement crystallized around the right to harvest it. Salt is not a condiment. Salt is civilization. And right now, you're going to learn how to get it back. Let's start with the most obvious and most scalable source, the ocean. If you are anywhere near a coastline, you are near an inexhaustible supply of sodium chloride dissolved in seawater at roughly 35 grams per liter. That is about 3.5% salinity. Not drinkable, not even close, but absolutely, completely workable as a salt source if you know what to do with it. The method is solar evaporation, and it is the oldest industrial process in human history. You need a shallow container, anything that can hold water and withstand sun exposure. A tarp waded into a depression, a sheet of plastic sheeting over dug earth, a salvaged plastic storage bin, a metal baking pan, a concrete mixing trough. Shallow is the key word. The shallower the water, the more surface area exposed to sun and air, the faster the evaporation. Pour in your seawater. Let the sun do the work. In hot, dry conditions, you'll see white crystalline crust forming within a day or two. In cooler, cloudier weather, it takes longer. When most of the water is gone and the crystals have formed, scrape them up. Those white crystals are your salt. Rinse them once with a tiny amount of clean water to remove any surface impurities like dead algae or sediment. Then let them dry again completely. Now taste it. That is sea salt. The same thing in a designer bag at a specialty grocery store for $8 a pound. If you want to accelerate the process, boil the seawater down instead of waiting for the sun. Use any heat-safe container, a large pot, a metal bucket, a salvaged cooking vessel. Bring the seawater to a boil and keep it going. You'll notice the water level dropping and the liquid becoming increasingly brine-like, thicker, clearer, more intensely salty. As the last of the water evaporates, salt crystals will form on the bottom and sides of the container. Remove from heat before they scorch. The burnt salt isn't ruined. It just tastes slightly mineral and bitter. Still functional. Still sodium chloride. The clean white crystals that form just before the pot goes dry are your prize. One important warning about coastal salt harvesting. Collect your seawater away from industrial areas, harbors, or any visible pollution. Salt concentrates whatever is in the water it evaporates from. Clean, open ocean water away from shipping lanes and industrial discharge is what you want. If it smells like diesel, it's not your source. Now, what if you're not near the coast? What if you're landlocked, hundreds of miles from any ocean, staring at forest and fields and wondering how anyone survived before interstate shipping? Salt licks. Natural mineral deposits where sodium-rich groundwater has pushed salt to the surface of the earth. Animals know about these. Deer know. Elk know. Cattle know. If you are in a rural or wilderness area and you want to find a natural salt deposit, follow the animals. Deer trails converging on a single point in the forest often end at a mineral lick. The soil there looks bare, compacted, and sometimes slightly white or crusty at the surface. Deer will return to a good salt lick obsessively. If you see dozens of tracks converging on a bare patch of earth, Taste a small amount of that soil dissolved in water. Your tongue will tell you immediately if sodium is present. It is not subtle. If you find a salt lick, don't harvest it carelessly. Dissolve surface soil in water, let the sediments settle or filter through cloth, then boil the resulting brine down to extract the salt crystals. You're doing the same thing as the ocean evaporation method, but starting with diluted soil brine instead of seawater. The principle is identical. Water carries dissolved minerals. Heat removes the water. Minerals remain. Salt springs and salt wells are another landlocked source. There are regions across North America, Europe, and beyond where salty water literally bubbles up from the ground. Groundwater that has traveled through deep salt-bearing geological formations and emerged on the surface. These were well known to indigenous peoples and early settlers. The Onondaga Nation in upstate New York built an entire economy around salt springs for centuries before European contact. If you can find a natural spring and the water tastes salty or brackish, you have a brine source. Boil it down the same way. Here's one that surprises almost everyone: wood ash. Not a direct salt source, but critically important in a salt-scarce world because wood ash contains potassium, and potassium is the second half of your electrolyte equation. It's not sodium chloride, but potassium chloride, found in commercial salt substitutes sold as no salt or new salt, functions in many of the same biological roles. It keeps your heart rhythm stable. It supports nerve conduction. It helps regulate fluid balance. In a scenario where sodium is scarce, ensuring you're getting adequate potassium from ash-leached water, from legumes, from tubers, from leafy greens, partially compensates for the deficit. Not fully, not indefinitely, but enough to buy you time while you secure a proper salt source. Now here is a method that takes patience but works anywhere you have wood and water. Making potassium-rich lye water from wood ash, then boiling it down to extract mineral salts. Take hardwood ash, oak, maple, hickory, not softwood like pine which has too many resins. Pack it loosely into a container with holes in the bottom, like a bucket with a few nail holes, or a cloth-lined basket. Pour water through it slowly. The water picks up potassium carbonate and potassium chloride as it filters through. Collect the dark liquid that comes out the bottom. Boil it down. The residue is a mixture of mineral salts, predominantly potassium-based, that can be used as a partial salt substitute and, critically, in food preservation. Which brings us to why salt really cannot be skipped. Preservation. That is the function that makes salt a matter of life and death beyond just seasoning. Without salt, your ability to preserve meat, fish, vegetables, and forage for more than a day or two collapses completely. Salt draws moisture out of food through osmosis, creating an environment where bacteria cannot survive. A salted fish stays edible for weeks. An unsalted fish in summer heat is dangerous by nightfall. A salted haunch of venison can carry you through 2 weeks. An unsalted one will poison you in 4 days. Without preservation, every successful hunt, every harvest, every abundance becomes perishable, becomes waste, becomes a missed opportunity. Salt is the technology that allowed humans to store food across seasons, to survive winters, to maintain armies on campaign, to trade across continents. Without it, every meal becomes a race against rot. So let's talk about using your recovered salt wisely. Because in a post-collapse scenario, salt is a controlled resource. You don't waste it. For preservation, the curing ratio for meat is roughly 35 to 40 grams of salt per kilogram of meat, about 2 tablespoons per pound. Rub it thoroughly into every surface, including cuts and crevices. Pack the salted meat into a container and let it sit in a cool place. For fish, the ratio is higher. Fish is more water-dense and rots faster. For vegetables, you're making lacto-fermented pickles. Pack your vegetables into a jar, add a brine of roughly 1 tablespoon of salt per 2 cups of water, submerge the vegetables completely, and let wild fermentation do the work over several days. What you're creating is an acidic environment where beneficial bacteria outcompete harmful ones. It works without refrigeration. It has worked for 10,000 years. Every culture on Earth figured this out independently, which should tell you something about how effective it is. For personal consumption, Your daily sodium requirement is somewhere between 1.5 and 2.3 grams of sodium per day under normal sedentary conditions. That's about a quarter to half a teaspoon of salt. In a high-activity survival scenario where you're sweating constantly, that requirement goes up significantly, potentially to 3 to 5 grams of sodium daily. You're not trying to oversalt your food. You're trying to meet a physiological threshold. Add salt to cooking water, add it to your drinking water in small amounts if you're heavily active, and pay attention to your body. Muscle cramps in the legs or hands are one of the earliest signals of sodium depletion. Headaches follow. Dizziness when you stand up quickly, orthostatic hypotension, is another sign. These are your body's alert systems. Take them seriously. There are also food sources naturally high in sodium that you can lean on while your salt supply is limited. Seaweed is extraordinary. Dried kelp, nori, dulse, these are dense with naturally occurring sodium and can be crumbled into food as a seasoning, added to stews, or eaten directly. If you're near a coast, seaweed is both a food source and a sodium supplement that requires no processing. Shellfish are high in natural sodium. Certain mineral-rich spring waters carry detectable sodium levels. Beets, celery, and spinach have modest natural sodium content compared to most vegetables. None of these replace deliberate salting and curing, but they reinforce a low-salt diet in a way that reduces the physiological impact while you build your salt stores. And stores are exactly what you should be building. Once you've established a salt source, whether it's coastal evaporation, a salt lick, a brine spring, you don't harvest just enough for today. You harvest in bulk. Salt, once dried completely, stores indefinitely. Archaeologists have found salt deposits in ancient mines still chemically identical to fresh table salt after millennia. A dry container, a cool, dark location, and your salt will outlast everything else in your pantry. It will outlast you. It is arguably the single most important thing you can stockpile before the collapse, and the single most important thing to source immediately after. Because here is the bottom line. Every other survival skill you've learned, water purification, fire starting, wound care, shelter building, depends on a functional body to execute it. A body running on zero sodium is not a functional body. It is a machine running out of coolant, still moving, still burning, but degrading from the inside faster than any external threat can touch it. You can be armed, sheltered, fed, and hydrated, and sodium deficiency will still quietly dismantle you over the course of 10 days to 2 weeks. Silently, progressively. And by the time most people recognize what's happening, they're already in trouble too deep to easily climb out of. The salt is out there. It has always been out there. In the ocean, in the ground, in the rocks, in the springs, in the tidal pools, in the earth your ancestors walked on for 100,000 years before any store existed to sell it to them. Find your source. Process your brine. Store what you extract. Guard it like the survival currency it is. Because in the world you're living in now, a bag of salt is worth more than a bag of gold. Gold doesn't keep you alive. Salt does.